trying to reconstruct that conversation from my own memory, and also influenced heavily by listening to Ms. Heslin yesterday, of course, is that I went into some detail, and I do remember doing this, of sharing the information that I had about contributions with Ms. Heslin. Part of my difficulty here is that I don't recall it being in any way to pressure her, and in fact, I know for a fact I wouldn't have pressured her. I was sharing information, as we had for quite a time, on various aspects of the pipeline project and other aspects of opening the Caspian for investment. I think I recall that she raised questions about contributions and the propriety of them. And we chatted about that for a bit, I think. And I believe, perhaps listening to her yesterday, that at the conclusion I said, well, I agree with you, or something to that effect, and rung off. I then contacted Mr. Simpson and told him that there had been no change in policy and that we should not suggest that the President meet with Mr. Tamraz, and as far as I know, that's what happened.
During that conversation, you did indicate to her in some fashion, did you not, that $400,000 contribution was in some way tied to a meeting with the President. Isn't that correct?
As I recall, I mentioned that there was contributions made and to be made, and that Mr. Tamraz wanted a meeting with the President. But the inquiry to me was whether or not that meeting should occur, and my inquiry to her was whether or not there had been any change that would warrant such a meeting, apart from any contribution.
She got upset with you during that phone conversation, didn't she, Mr. Carter?
A part of my difficulty in reconstructing that, I listened yesterday, and I was very saddened by the distress that I had apparently caused her, very clearly caused her in that conversation. My difficulty is that after I rung off, and talking with or making a note to Kyle about the consequence of that visit by phone with her, that I didn't register that she was unduly upset. I didn't register that she thought I had been pressuring her. We had been friends and colleagues for a long time and had substantial discussions, and I just didn't come away with the sense that she was upset, as she clearly was.
Did you relate what did you relate to Mr. Simpson after you were done with the conversation with Ms. Heslin?
My recollection is that either by phone or by email or by some means, I advised him that there had been no change in the policy that we had ascribed to many months before, and that the meeting should not take place.
Did you tell Mr. Simpson that Mr. McClarty should contact the NSC with respect to Mr. Tamraz?
No, I don't recall doing that.
Let me just show you, and just one last question, Exhibit 1182. There's a phone message from Mr. Simpson to Mr. McClarty, and it's hard to read, but through depositions I've been able to ascertain. It reads, Ray, Mr. Tamraz Oil Company. The NSC has information they want to share with him, meaning Mr. McClarty. Now, did you pass that information on to Mr. Simpson?
I don't recall passing that information on to Mr. Simpson.
And Mr. Simpson, let me just ask you one quick question. On that same exhibit, you do remember passing this piece of information on to Mr. McClarty, do you not?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and where did you get that information from?
I got it from Mr. Carter.
Okay, and you don't remember that, Mr. Carter, correct?
I'm afraid I do not.
Okay, and Mr. Simpson, just one question for you. Do you remember either having in writing and or passing on to Mr. Carter when you spoke with him on April 3rd the figures of $200,000 and $400,000?
No, sir, I do not.
You have no idea where those figures come from?
No, sir.
Okay, I think my time is up, Mr. Chairman.
All right, Senator Glenn.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have a few questions here before I turn it over to Counsel Ms. Leshner. I wanted to find out a bit more about your connection with the CIA. Much of the credibility question, it seems to me, and why you were given a lot of credibility was some of your supposed connection with the CIA. What was your very first contact with the CIA ever? How did you get in touch with them?
Are we allowed to discuss these security matters, Senator Glenn, in an open session?
No, not if they're security matters. If they're classified matters, we could not. Not in open session.
Because I'd be very happy to discuss in detail in a closed session.
All right. Well, how many years were you connected with them in some way or other?
73 would be the beginning.
73?
Yes, sir.
Were you, without getting into specific things, were you, did you consider yourself an agent for the CIA?
No, sir.
Did you provide them information voluntarily? Was that your role?
My role was purely ideological. I believed in the American system.
Well, I know, but there has to be more than that to get the CIA interested in what you could do with them.
Well, they're interested in me because I'm somebody who can analyze and was well connected in the area.
Okay. Did you work in a similar way with any other departments within our government here?
From time to time, ambassadors would ask me to arrange meetings with potential presidential candidates. And I have done that on several times in Lebanon for Ambassador Porter with a couple of presidential candidates and acted as a translator to them.
Okay. Now, when did you very first come to the United States?
I came, sir, as a student to the Harvard Business School in 1963.
63?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And what, did you have a green card then, or a student visa, or what?
Yeah, I came in as a student visa, and then I got a green card.
Okay. And your when did you make your first political contributions in this country?
In the 80s, sir.
In the 80s, okay. Yes. And you were a green card holder at that time then?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Were those contributions made from an American account here, or were they made from a foreign account?
No, American account.
American account, okay. And you became a citizen then in 1989, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. And 1989 was a rather tumultuous year for you, as I understand your record, because I think in your deposition you said you were kidnapped on 20 February. You were released 10 March. They had poisoned you. You had arsenic in your blood. You returned to the States that year and spent most of the rest of that year trying to get healthy again. Was that correct?
Yes, sir.
But then that was the year in which you also got your United States citizenship.
Yes, sir. October of that year.
Okay. Was there any? Did the CIA play any role in